When it comes to games, I consider my taste to be simple. Regardless of how young or old the game is, a good game is just a good game. And damn, is Astral Chain a good game. It must be one of the most underrated games on the Nintendo Switch, which is just sad. Coming from the developers Platinum Games comes a unique experience I think all who are interested in should at least try. You may be asking yourself, but why? Well, hopefully I can answer that. Astral Chain, like many other games, starts you out with a decent combat tutorial, and as you progress, the game mechanics really open up. You get access to your first legion, which in this game is your summon/party member. Now these legions come in all shapes and sizes, with certain mechanics bound to them only. With the legion unlocked, you also gain access to their skill tree to further their growth and combos. Now this sounds pretty traditional, right? Well, what makes this even better is that each legion to a certain degree also can help you in the environment. You learn neat tricks like chain jumping and even riding your dog legion around the maps to help move things along. Some legions can shield you in battle, while others literally just pick up stuff and throw them at your enemies. Now, I will say by design, most of the legions don't feel all too useful, but with revisiting past areas, they do enable the player to unlock more goodies. You can roam around town with them tethered to you and pull off some nice combos with them as well. With them also aiding in your character's mobility and in some cases accessibility, legions do a great job of making the game feel unique and not just some button spam session. Story-wise, well, you know how it goes. Everyone has their powers in the beginning, then something happens, and it's up to you to save the world. I won't dive any further into it, however, as I want you to play the game. I do want to touch on the home base of Astral Chain though. I knew after the opening sequence and arriving at the main hub of the game that things just felt right. You get this nice and clean music coming in that just gets you pumped. The main hub itself is a few floors of a building, but each floor serves its own purpose. There are no large corridors you must run down either. Everything is within arm's reach. Speaking of the home base, let's also talk about the graphics a little bit. Now keep in mind this is a Switch game that was built to run at 30 frames per second. Platinum Games was aware of the hardware limitations and used that to their advantage. I know the game also has that cel-shaded look to it as well, but as a Switch game, it just looks incredible. The effects in combat are nice and vibrant. The animations are clean. The environment is, well, fairly detailed. This game just looks good, and I commend Platinum Games for using the Switch as intended. We know its graphical limitations, but as stated in my Xenoblade Chronicles 3 video, it's using those limitations to your advantage. Also, to those curious of how this game operates, it's very similar to other action games like Devil May Cry. You go through files in the game, which you can just call chapters by the way, and each file has its own specific missions and side quests. On the surface, this may not sound appealing, but I really enjoyed the format, as even though you're trapped in a file, certain areas in the game still feel open and really promote exploration. I nearly burnt an hour on one of the earlier files just exploring and seeing what I could get myself into. Bigger doesn't always mean better, and Astral Chain does a great job of reminding the player of that. If you aren't big into side quests, you can of course skip them, but it's something I personally dig. The World Ends With You had a similar setup with Shibuya in terms of the quests throughout the game as well. It really makes small areas feel just as prominent or important as the bigger ones. Combat in this game is also fun. Your character can switch between 3 different weapon configurations and of course your legions at any given moment. While the weapons you get aren't anything special combo wise, once you get a few legions under your belt with some skills unlocked, well, that's when things get spicy. Combine that with using your legion as not only as an ally, but also a tool for mobility and things can get a bit hectic. I did feel a bit biased towards the legions however, as they all weren't created equally. Now this could have been due to my playstyle, but some just seemed way better than others. Additionally, you can raise up the stats of your equipment and legion, as well as change your look at any time that you desire. While this may not be important to many, I personally like getting new cosmetics and changing up my look throughout the game. Now, this game isn't perfect, of course, but luckily there is also no deal breakers in there for me. I will say that while using your Legion as your main source of mobility is cool, it can also be, well, a bit frustrating, as this game doesn't have a dedicated jump button. I found a few scenarios a bit frustrating because of that. Quick movements with your Legion can also be a bit frustrating in timed scenarios just due to how the controls work for them. But outside of that, I don't have much else to complain about. Overall, Astral Chain is an amazing game for the Nintendo Switch with some fun mechanics. While the story is nothing grand, it is sufficient for what it's worth. But this game, just like many others in its same genre, has its focus more so on the gameplay than the story. So if you are on the edge about giving this game a shot, then don't be. You won't be disappointed, and well, if you are, hopefully you bought a physical copy that you can just resell.